process curve is a really important concept. The shape of the curve is sort of obviated by the concept. Don't memorize it as a graph, memorize it as a concept. 26 gets 2 stars, 28 gets 1. Oh, so 27 and 28 each get 1. 26 gets 2, 27, 28 each get 1. 31 goes with 56, gets 2 stars, and I have a problem. 31 plus 56 is one of those trivia issues. Remember, the difference between a 4 and a 5 on the APES exam is trivia. Like recognizing the invasive species that they mentioned, or knowing the detail about the endangered species that they mentioned, or having some memory of which chemical is toxic or not. You'll survive without the trivia. I'm sure that if students do most of the work in the class and pay attention and make an effort, they can get a 3. And if you really nail it and you happen to also be good at math and have a little background in bio and chemistry, even if you just kind of skimmed it, you'll probably get a 4. It's the most common grade in my cohort. But to get a 5, you got to know all the details. And I'm warning you, they always ask about some miscellaneous toxic compound, and all my kids are like, I didn't even know what a POP was. It's so hard for you to memorize every possible toxin. You could memorize a million and they would ask you about another one. But the more you know, the better off you'll be. So, as much as you can, study 31 and 56. 32 gets 1 star, it is the grasshopper effect issue. 33 gets 3 stars. Goes with 57 and the methylation. Like I said earlier, we'll come back to discuss this in a couple of minutes. 34 gets a star. 36 goes with 56. Number 40 gets 1 star. For most of you, it's pretty simple. Just make sure you can do it. Uh, 41 gets 3 stars. Knowing about age structures is totally mandatory. Don't forget, you've got to be able to match the age structure to the stage of the demographic transition. Um, 42 definitely gets a star. This is sort of like important trivia to know. 43 gets 2 stars. First of all, about the geographical imbalance, but second of all, about why poverty leads to population growth. That's a key issue. 45 gets 3 stars, demographic transitions. I gotta remind you, please avoid the confusion. Some people discuss this as 4 stages. Demographically, that makes sense. Some people describe this as 3 stages in terms of economics: pre-transition, transitioning, and post-transition.
On the
I don't know, because I don't get to see all the multiple choice questions. I can't remember when some of my kids told me, you taught us 3 and there was 4, or you taught us 4 and there was 3. I would hope so.
I think they'll probably accept whatever like we explain. Like if you say this, I mean,
I would think so too.
Numbers, right?
57, that guy, Thomas Malthus, is extremely famous. Everybody knows him. Not that complicated. More pestilence and disease when you get too crowded. Well, no, that's Sherlock. Number 48 gets 1 star. You may know I'm obsessed with this disease question. 49 is kind of an interesting issue. I'm not sure if that gets a star, but it is sort of a smart kid thing to know. 50 gets 1 star. 51 gets 2 stars. 52 gets 1 star. Did we talk about hormonally active agents in class already? Those things that are not hormones, but your body reacts as if they were. 54 gets 1 star. Did we already do this practice math? Remember, you just moved the decimals the same on the bottom as the top. Percent is x over 100. Parts per million is x over a million. Parts per billion is x over 1 billion. And to make it into a percent, you just move the decimal, the corresponding amount on top and bottom alike. In study goal number 55, your book discusses 4 major examples. The first 3 are very famous. Like Chernobyl, everybody has to know about smelting, dioxin, and Japan's Minamata Bay. In number 55, the first 3 examples. Minamata Bay. It's like mini, M-A-T-A, Bay. Minamata Bay. Number 56 gets 2 stars and goes with 36. And like I told you, these are just important terms for you to know, the different types of pollution, what makes them bad, and where they come from. 58 gets 1 star, and I kind of wonder if we should talk about this really quickly. Oh, but we got to do 57 first. Okay, 57 gets 3 stars and goes with 33. And I think that's where we left off yesterday, so I'm going to switch to lecture mode. About 57. I'm back in lecture mode now, no more stars for a little while. Did we discuss the term methylation already? Remember, makes it look useful even though it's not.
Like toxins like mercury, but when do they come into contact with like a methyl group, and how do they respond?
Methylation can be done in a chemistry lab. So for one thing, it is a byproduct of human chemistry. So chemical industries will methylate stuff. Second of all, bacteria will often methylate stuff. Because methylation is a really common microbial process. I don't understand the organismal benefit, but I do know that like in swamps, all sorts of crazy things get methylated because of all that microbial activity. It is a relatively common microbial process. Whoa. Okay. And because you have microbes in your digestive system, it's also a more rare but occasional digestive process. Okay. Did we discuss bioaccumulation yesterday? Did I pickpocket some people? So allow me to quickly catch us up. Watch my animation. I'll speak over it. Well, no more speaking. I know. That's why the volume is low, so I can talk. You'll notice that the little fishy is eating little squares, and the little squares have little circles. They're coins. When the fishy eats the squares, they disappear. Because like when you and I eat food, we break it down internally, get the energy out, and use the parts we need. I ate a breakfast burrito. loud, that's letting me be muscular, or flabby, or bony, or whatever. From our food, we take some stuff that we need and we use it. Bioaccumulation, though, is when we think something is useful, but it isn't. Like those coins. The fish eat it, and their body goes, oh, must be useful, and keeps it, even though it's not. Like a pickpocket who keeps plastic. Doesn't make sense. It's just a hoarding of sorts. Did we talk about hoarding yesterday? Yes. Yes.
What happens if it has like a skin cell or something, or just a cell or some tissue that has like a unrelated mercury atom in it, and it dies? Would that be bad for you? Like, would that go into liquid?
Well, if your cells don't keep it, you get rid of it, and if it decomposes, it goes back into the bio. Usually it stays methylated, though. It's a separate demethylation process to break those bonds. That's less complicated. Now, things are going to get a little bit more complicated, so I really hope that you can focus. Imagine, I'd like to set up a food web now, because I think we've discussed bioaccumulation, and if you don't have this already written down, it's a key distinction. Bioaccumulation is a cellular process. It happens inside of individual organisms, like you or me or a seagull or a goldfish. Remember that the accumulation is like me keeping credit cards I cannot use, or that fish keeping the coins that it does not actually need to digest. Let's continue with my pickpocket analogy. I'm going to build a food web. So, as you know, every teacher on campus is actually a pickpocket stealing from their students. Everybody knows that. Imagine that we have a hierarchy of pickpockets. So just like big cities have criminal syndicates that focus on criminals, imagine that my boss, the principal, is himself a pickpocket. And he comes by and goes, hey, Jose, how's it going? Oh, sorry, man, I didn't mean to bump into you. And he pickpockets the teachers. And of course, he's got a boss, the superintendent of schools, and he too is a pickpocket. What I want to do is, first of all, figure out what happens to money, because it's useful. Because money's useful, I take $5 from each of my students, but I spend it. So when the principal comes to take money out of my wallet, he might get $5 or something, but he's going to spend it too. So after he takes money from a bunch of teachers, he spends most of it. The superintendent of schools will take money from all the school principals, and from each of them just get a few bucks, and he's going to spend them too. Do you see that the number of dollars doesn't really change at each level of the trophic pyramid here? I take some of your money, but I spend it. I don't have a lot left over. The principal takes money from all the teachers, but he spends it, so he doesn't have a lot left over. The superintendent takes from all the principals, spending, there's not a lot left over. But what about the cards? From each of you, I took one. That means I had, let's say, 5. Mr. Carmian has 5. Ms. Caruso has 5. Mr. Sandridge has 5. So now, imagine what happens at the principal's wallet. He also keeps the credit cards. He also cannot use them. So at the end of the day, you each had 1. I have 5. The principal ends up with like 25 because he stole from all the teachers, right? And the superintendent would end up with like 125 credit cards because he has pickpocketed all the principals. Do you see this trophic magnification I'm telling you? Biomagnification is a trophic issue.